Okay. All right. I'm Arya. This is
Zach.
I do a lot of marketing and PR for Tenkiv. As you guys probably know, if you're watching this already, we're with Tenkiv. We're a technology company out of Sacramento, California. He does a lot of the engineering
stuff,
and he's also one of the co-founders. So the purpose of this vlog, and we're going to try and do as many of these as we can over the course of the Kickstarter. But one of the main purposes, we really want to give a shout out to a lot of our supporters and also get an opportunity to answer any questions people have and go into more detail about what we're doing. To start off, I'm going to go through a list of kind of 20 of our latest backers and just read off the names, show our appreciation. I wish we can get to the full 100. We did hit 100 tonight. This is our second day of the Kickstarter, and we're off to a great start, so we really appreciate that.
Well, there is an option. If everyone just stops backing now, then in the next videos we'll be able to get to
That's
all
true.
100.
Yeah, we might be able to do all of it. No, but in the interest of time, tonight at least, we definitely want to keep it keep this video as short and digestible as possible. So to start with, here are some of the people that have backed, and thank you so much. So starting with Sarah from Australia, thank you. Con from Texas, Megan from Ireland, Jason from California, Laura from Uruguay, Shelby from Canada, Liliana from Minnesota, Frederick from Canada, nice to see so much Canada, Margie from California, Greg from New York, Wei, I believe it is, from Taiwan, Nick P from California, that's my roommate, Ron from Minnesota, Kevin from California, and then we have Nicholas, Matt, Rick, Christy, and Lisa and Annie. So thank you so much to all of you. And of course, we have 100 backers, so thank you to everyone who's backed us thus far. Or even if you haven't backed us, retweeted us, shared us on Facebook, whatever. Just told your friends about it. It's a huge help. We're trying to do something that hopefully is impactful and matters. And anything you can do to spread the word is really helpful.
That's super important. I wanted to talk about it too, because obviously we're super grateful to everyone who backed early on. Like, the hardest thing on Kickstarter is gaining the early traction. So we're on a really good track right now to make this successful, and everyone who's coming on board is helping that a lot, especially because we're actually doing something a little bit outside of what people normally do on Kickstarter, which is, even though Kickstarter sort of advertises as this community that's really focused on doing good, most of the projects are at least most of the really successful projects are pre-orders for relatively small like electronics gadgets.
It's a prototyping platform primarily.
Exactly. And to have something this impact driven that's getting off to this good of a start is really rare on Kickstarter. So thank you so much to everyone who's coming on board early. That's going to help us a lot because we're already getting a lot of visibility. They, for example, they favorited us. So now we get the little heart and sort of seal of approval from Kickstarter on.
So thank you to Kickstarter as well.
Yeah, exactly.
We really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, to build off of what you're saying, it's basically, like we said, Kickstarter's kind of it's more of a prototyping campaign or a platform, sorry.
Yeah.
That, if you have all kinds of little electronic gadgets and projects, you can really get your stuff launched there. And we obviously have, a real physical product, and you can purchase that through our perks as well. But we're kind of a hybrid. We're kind of a cause and in the technology hardware section at the same time.
Yeah, well, it's also not even just it being a cause versus not a cause. It's also just in terms of scope, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have this massive 7-year project that, is like this fundamental R&D project that we've been working on forever. Whereas most of the stuff on Kickstarter is like, and again, this isn't to try and demean any of the projects. It's just expressing our gratitude for people coming on board for something that's so out of the ordinary on the platform. Where we're doing this thing, which is like this entire new technology that's really meant to be this transformative thing for an entire industry, which isn't a normal thing to do, and it's a lot harder to get people on board for. But where I was originally trying to lead is, again, thank you everyone who's on board already, but please try to get anyone you can to pay attention to this, because like people have a natural tendency to sort of, they might not be as inclined to pay attention to something that has this broad of a scope, and which is this impact driven, and to sort of try to help people outside of their general daily lives. Mm-hmm. So anyone that you can point in the direction of this campaign and try to get on board would be super helpful to us, especially early on. We're still really early on. This is only day 2. So, as we gain momentum,
and we are gaining.
Yeah, and we are gaining. Things will get easier and easier, but early on, every single person who's involved in this really needs to push hard. And we're doing our best. We're here pretty much all the time. Yeah. We're not really gonna get a whole lot of sleep throughout this campaign.
Right now, it's 9:32 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
I think the vast majority of pretty much everyone at the Tenkiv team has been here since early morning.
Yeah.
And that's basically
and we're gonna be here for
that's a regular thing at Tenkiv.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes.
Yeah. So again, anyone else that you can get on board would be super helpful, especially in these early phases. So again, thank you for coming on, and let's try to push this forward as much as possible, as soon as possible.
So another point of this vlog going forward is going to be we want to have this kind of video platform and interactive platform to be able to respond to any questions you may have. So to start with, right now it's pretty early stages. We don't have anything too in depth. I think we had a few questions on the Kickstarter, and we're going to follow up and answer that. But just as a kind of precursor, if you have any questions, you can ask on the Kickstarter itself. You can ask it as kind of a FAQ type of deal. You can always find us on Twitter. And you can ask us on Twitter as well, even if it's our personal accounts.
They can find us on Twitter, right? Especially, I think we own the climate change tag.
Pretty much. It's gonna be pretty tough to check the climate. There's several hashtags that at any given time, if you search it, you're gonna find us like within the top 10 people posting in it. Obviously, climate change is very important to us here at Tenkiv. Yeah. But bottom line, there's many mediums you can find us and contact us, and we do read every single tweet and every question that we get, even if it's email, whatever. You can find, if you go to tenkiv.com, you can find all of our social media handles, and then of course at our Kickstarter, you can ask questions directly on there too. But do you want to answer the first, I think, couple questions?
Yeah, that just we got real quick to add on to what you were saying. Just something to keep in mind if you're seeing us on social media or anything. We don't have like a normal corporate structure at all. It's all very sort of like fluid, and everyone talks to each other. So anyone you see who works at Tenkiv, if you talk to them, it'll get to everyone. We'll all just talk about it. So you don't need to go through our like official channels of going to hello@tenkiv.com or whatever. Although you can send an email to that. If you just thank you for bumping to the camera, by the way, Joe. Our camera guy is running around.
Our camera guy right now is... we're never going to show him because he's a hideous beast.
Well, Joe's another person you can email, by the way. jnewin@tenkiv.com.
Yeah.
But anyway, just contact anybody. It'll get around. But yeah, I'll go through the questions. We only have 3 comments right now on the Kickstarter. If you have any questions, also feel free to ask it there. Annie asked, is the lifespan of this panel any better than PV?
PV being photovoltaics,
yeah.
For those who don't know.
Yeah, so it's not directly comparable exactly, because PV, what tends to happen is PV cells sort of lose efficiency over time. So I actually have it up here. I don't remember the stats off the top of my head. But so this study was looking at loss per year, so efficiency drop per year when you're looking at a photovoltaic cell, and it depends on the technology. So there's a lot of different photovoltaic technologies out there, just like there are for solar thermal, but you're looking at about like 0.1% reduction in efficiency every year from a photovoltaic panel.
So just to cut, so for people that don't know, that might watch this video, can you give like a quick? I know you like to give long drawn out. He's an engineer, so this is a pain in the ass for me all the time. But it needs to be a quick. Can you give a summary of where do we do solar thermal?
Yeah.
How is that different from photovoltaic?
I can do it. So, so photovoltaic directly is taking light directly. It's generally from the sun, obviously, but just any light and converting it directly to electricity using the photoelectric effect. And solar thermal is taking light from the sun and immediately converting it into heat. So a lot of people associate that with, okay, so you can use photovoltaic to do anything that involves using electricity. And of course you can take solar thermal to do anything that involves using heat. So heating a swimming pool or a house or heating whatever up versus providing electricity to anything. One thing that we're really trying to push to clarify as a part of this whole campaign and as a part of our whole sort of outreach is that's a pretty big misconception by itself. Like a big percentage of solar farms are actually solar thermal, even though they make electricity. The starting form of energy that you're using isn't the most important. It isn't the only relevant aspect that you have to pay attention to when you're looking at what you can power. Everyone's getting mad at me now.
Yeah.
But anyway,
okay. You got like 2 sentences
the point is
before I cut you
solar
off.
thermal immediately makes heat. Photovoltaic immediately makes electricity. You can still do anything with either one. You can convert between all these different types of power. But anyway, going back to the question now, which is lifespan comparison. Photovoltaic doesn't just die at a certain point. Just like a battery, it falls off over time in terms of its efficacy. Our collector eventually, I guess, would die, but practically, like, it's not really something that you have to consider. In all of our calculations, if you're curious, for our efficiency calculations and stuff on our Kickstarter, we're assuming a 20-year lifespan. We have no reason to assume that for the collectors, especially. We have essentially no moving parts in our entire system, or in the entire Tenkiv Nexus. We have essentially no moving parts.
20 years is extremely conservative.
Yeah, we just sort of threw out this super low number because we were sort of afraid that if we start going longer than 20 years, already our numbers look really ridiculous. Yeah. Like, our biggest problem isn't that our data is not good enough. It's that people look at it and they're like, I don't believe this. I'm just going to not even bother to look into this. So we went with 20 years just to sort of like intentionally make it low. But there's no real reason to think 50 years, 100 years. I guess eventually what would start happening is, like, since glass is amorphous, it would start flowing enough over a few centuries that it would crack or something. For the whole system, you might need to replace the pumps eventually, maybe every 25 to 30 years.
So basically the only components in the system that would have actual moving parts.
Yeah, would be like one or two pumps potentially. All right, I can feel everyone getting mad at me for taking.
Okay, so basically, in summary, in comparison, the lifespan of let's say our solar collectors in isolation compared to PV.
That's what the question was about. The panel.
It's no contest.
Yeah.
We are officially rating them at 20 years lifespan, but of course we expected it would be quite a lot longer. It's very conservative.
It will be longer.
Yeah. So and you were talking about PVs, kind of similar to how batteries work in the sense that
it's not that easy of a comparison, but basically the short answer that everyone wants me to give is this will last way longer than PV. Okay.
Does it go through the same kind of gradual reduction in efficiency that PV does?
No.
Okay.
There's no reduction in efficiency unless you if it got really dirty or something. That's not really a lifespan thing. That's just clean it. So.
Okay. Is there another question?
All right. Yeah. So next we have great project, Zach. Good luck from Kim. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
I'm Zach, and
Kim, you're pretty great.
Yeah. Thanks. Also, Jonah Zimmerman. This looks interesting. So is the Tenkiv Nexus... Wait, this looks interesting. So is the Tenkiv Nexus is not just a solar panel? Little typo there, I think. But...
so they're asking if what we make is just a solar panel.
Yeah, so we have a lot of it's super hard to present everything we have and a cause in a 5-minute Kickstarter video.
Yeah, and I can tell you as somebody who handles marketing here, that's very tough.
Yeah. But we did our best, and I totally understand if it's not perfectly clear what we make. All right, so the Tenkiv Nexus is not a solar panel. A really important core aspect of it is the solar panel. But the Tenkiv Nexus, the reason why the word Nexus is in there is because it's where everything involving energy and using that energy meets. That's what Nexus is, not for energy specifically, but that's what a Nexus is. And the Tenkiv Nexus is, where energy meets all of its applications, right? So it's everything involved in collecting the energy, moving the energy, storing the energy, doing anything you would ever need to do.
Converting the energy as well.
Converting the energy between any different form. Again, because our goal here is to make a technology that's capable of being a real long-term complete replacement to fossil fuels, not something that...
Vertical integration.
Yeah, and we're starting with water sanitation because we need to start somewhere. We can't just immediately jump into everything with the size that our company is and the resources that we have. But this is meant to scale into everything eventually, everything involving energy. So the Tenkiv Nexus is based on this sort of core fundamental technology that we have called the pi thermal circuit, or phasic integrated isolation thermal circuit, which is the first thing when we approach this problem of how can we make a viable replacement to fossil fuels. This is sort of, the pi thermal circuit was sort of the fundamental new technological development that enabled us to tackle that problem.
So before he starts to jump into
I won't jump into it. You can.
I'll have to cut him off. But just as a summary, we call it the pi thermal circuit because the analogy is that we're handling heat, and we're doing with heat something akin to what the integrated circuit did with electronics.
Yeah.
So that's why that's the term that we use. And I
won't go into
I anticipate we'll probably have lots of podcasts on this or vlogs.
Maybe we'll do an entire thing about just the pi thermal circuit.
Well, we do have we have the tech video. We're gonna have a tech breakdown kind of update video on the Kickstarter coming up in probably a week or so. Maybe a little less, and that'll go into it a little bit more. Well,
I just want to say for now, this won't clarify it completely.
It's a closing statement.
Okay, yeah.
And then
we got to end soon. But this won't clarify it completely, but there's links scattered throughout our website and in the Kickstarter to eventually you can get to the technology briefing, which is what I just want to send to everybody. But everyone here says, we can't just immediately go that deep. So
you guys don't. You don't want to. Unless you ask for it, you don't want to.
But there you get some more details about the pi thermal circuit and some of the more core technology. It's not going to give you that's not going to be a place where you can download sort of like schematics and 3D models and simulations and source code for everything. But it'll get you briefed, as the name implies, on sort of what we're doing, and you can read about the pi thermal circuit there. We'll talk about it more later in different podcasts. But to get back to the point of the question. Is the Tenkiv Nexus just a solar panel? No, it's not, because of what we just talked about. But the solar panel also uses the pi thermal circuit internally. And it turns out that makes it way more efficient than anything else that's out there right now. And not really because of the pi thermal circuit directly, but because of extrapolations off of the pi thermal circuit, we were able to use a bunch of really cheap materials in there. And our whole goal is cost effectiveness. So we made this really cost effective solar panel, even just on its own, when not a part of the Tenkiv Nexus. That's what you're getting when you get the solar panel.
We build an entire system, and we build all of the components surrounding the solar collector as well as the solar collector.
Yeah.
And I think we should end it there.
Okay.
Because we definitely, and we can get into more in depth about that kind of stuff later on. But one thing I want to say is, so this vlog that you're going to watch was pre-recorded, but in the future, we're gonna post this on YouTube, and we'll embed it in the Kickstarter as well. But in the future, please actually comment on the YouTube or wherever. Let us know,
Kickstarter or Twitter.
Exactly. So we've played around. So Kickstarter has Kickstarter Live, so we can do it there, which is kind of like a Twitch style platform where you can respond. And we can see your questions live as we go along and answer them. We can continue doing a YouTube type scenario. We could do like the YouTube live kind of stuff. And
we might end up doing some sort of like simulcast thing where
we'll look into some multicast, simulcast stuff. And we can watch your Twitter stuff. But the bottom line is we'd like to engage in the most real-time form possible. And we want to see whatever platform we get kind of the most votes for, so to speak, is what will follow. And if nobody says anything, then we'll keep doing the YouTube stuff. But
we're gonna keep going. That's what we do.
One way or another. But it just depends on we just engage with us. However, let us know what's the best way to engage, and that's how we'll go forward. But for now, again, thank you. We're off to an awesome start. We really hope we keep that momentum. And it's 100% dependent on you guys. So
seriously,
please keep throwing questions at us.
Yeah, let us know your questions. So in the next one, we can tune this for exactly what you want more information on. Yeah. I know there's a ton of super bold claims in here. And you got everyone who's looking at it's going to want a lot of different, everyone has their own perspective. We'll back it up.
Yeah. I mean, we're ready to go.
So just whatever you have, pile it on us, and let's get this conversation going, and let's get this done.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys. Awesome. Okay. So, okay. All right. This is an addendum. I don't know if this will be used in the video. Okay. We'll find out. I might cut this out. We're not sure yet. Anyway, this is minutes after we concluded our vlog. Literally like 2 minutes. Yeah. And we got this question, and it's a fantastic question. So I'm going to read it off to you, and then you can run with it answering it.
Yeah.
Okay. This happened on Reddit. B-dub, Geo. I don't know if I got that right, but I hope I did. But anyway, sure it's right. This is in the Sacramento subreddit. Responded to our post and said, I typically work with solar-powered pumps and particulate and GAC/resin filtration systems. It's okay. I know you're probably on your phone on Reddit. I always make typos. I read more about your technology, and it seems like the water treatment/filtration aspect is kind of secondary. That was my mistake. To your solar cell/logic board tech. Also, I now see that sterilization/distillation are the mechanisms you use, and I don't believe these can be used to treat the full suite of contaminants I deal with on my projects. Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it seems that the value in your company lies more in your solar tech and logic board, the tech deck. From the information available on your Kickstarter, I'm having a hard time telling how the water treatment part of the system interacts with the panels/controller. Is the water treatment a separate module that's powered by your system? ? Is distillation/sanitation of the water a byproduct of your solar design? It's really hard to tell. Also, one more comment. But the technical briefing that's listed on your Kickstarter page is really, really light on detail. This is you could blame the marketing team for this. It's really, really light on detail. It really raises more questions than it answers. And the text reads like it was either prepared or heavily edited by a marketing person. Look at that. It was. I'm sorry. Just my 2 cents. But before I'd ever consider investing in your project, I'd want to know what actually is your manufacturing. So just before you answer, I just want to say...
There's a lot in there.
This is a smart guy.
Uh-huh.
He's a sharp guy. So you're right. With a bunch of stuff, and he's going to answer the technical stuff. All of that stuff is filtered through the marketing team, and sometimes we get it wrong. But basically, for the layman, we don't want to get too technical, but then we also want to be technical for technical people, and it's a difficult balance, but that's definitely noted. I will keep that in mind from now on, but go ahead.
Okay.
And let me know if you need me to reference stuff.
Yeah, well, it's kind of long. So
yeah,
So one thing that's definitely correct is that the core technology here is the power system. It's the solar power system that's really what's special here. The sanitation module in particular is, for the most part, really just pasteurizing. It's just heating up something for a certain amount of time. What's not really true is that the tech deck, so the logic board as you refer to it, isn't super core to what we're doing. It's basically the tech stack is really made because it's not possible to buy. It's currently not possible to buy a affordable data acquisition system that has the accuracy and robustness, so to speak, that we needed. So something that can be deployed in a sort of real world environment and is still very accurate and has a bunch of channels.
This was the reason for our first Kickstarter.
So that would cost like $15,000. So that's why we had to make that. It's not super core to our overall company, but it is. It was necessary to make.
It was core in terms of making sure we hit the cost.
It was core from a business perspective.
Yeah.
It's not core from a technological perspective, and it's and I don't want to make this false dichotomy that the tech stack is sort of like this equal innovation to what we did on the solar side. That's not true. Basically, we made stuff that's pretty much the same as what's out there, but for way cheaper. Whereas on the solar side, we made stuff that you literally can't find anywhere else. That's completely new. So yeah, it's true. The core thing is the solar power system, the Tenkiv Nexus, and the water sanitation is just a module, and the distillation is just a module. One thing I was a little confused by, and granted this isn't completely my personal area of expertise, but I'm not really sure what purification of water you couldn't deal with distillation.
Well, I mean, maybe all biological contaminants, correct me if I'm wrong, are taken care of with distillation, right?
Well, biological contaminants are taken care of even with just the sanitation system.
So maybe heavy metal.
That's dealt with distillation. So I guess there would be some stuff like sometimes things that evaporate at a similar temperature to water can be difficult to deal with sort of like more primitive distillation systems. But even unless it's literally some substance that has the exact same boiling point as water, you can get rid of it with distillation if you have a refined distillation process. So,
okay.
I'm not sure what you're referring to with that. With sanitation for sure.
So we're gonna respond to you. We expect a response.
Yeah. For with sanitation for sure. There are things that it doesn't deal with. It's specifically meant for biological contaminants, and
we're not handling arsenic with our sanitation.
Yeah, arsenic and lead and stuff like that, and that's the whole reason why. The reason why we use two different modules is because the sanitation module is we can go through a ton of water super fast if you're just dealing with biological contaminants, and then if you have way bigger issues with your water, which is the case in less places around the world, like you have lead problems or arsenic problems or other contaminants, then you use the distillation module. What was there? I think there's one other thing in there.
So let's see what we got. So we went over the logic board stuff. Value and company lies more in your solar tech and the logic board. We got
solar
that.
Tech. Solar tech.
Let's see. He says that the distillation and sanitation is more of a byproduct of your solar design. Let's see. Oh, well, just the part about the technical briefing being a little light on detail.
Yeah, I agree.
we had to fight with him on this.
There's more.
We'll come up with We'll come up with a super
the
technical.
The tech briefing is still a briefing.
Yeah.
Even there's a lot more information you can get. So, for example, on our Google Plus, which I know isn't used by that many people, we have this like Tenkiv unfiltered section where you can get a ton of extra materials, and every week we're publishing more stuff. So we're looking into sort of maybe publishing some of our COMSOL multiphysics simulations, publishing a bunch of our CAD models. A lot of our software is already open source, but we're going to be continuing. Eventually, everything that we make will be open source eventually.
Yeah.
But we don't want to open source some stuff too early because we don't want developers to start working with a set of APIs or something that is going to be completely revamped like 10 times by the time we actually launch a product.
Yeah.
So we're really open, and if you want anything, ask for it, and we'll do our best to provide it as fast as possible. I agree. It's his fault that the info pack is lacking in any amount of detail.
I'll take the hit for that.
But it would also, you have to remember with this, like think about, studying the Carnot cycle or something like that. Like, this isn't something that you can really put into a 15-page document and express everything in engineering terms quantified in a ton of detail that quickly. So
and have a very big demographic of people to actually.
Well, it's
pay
not just
attention
that. I'm saying it for anyone who really wants to understand this. Like, you need to be willing to invest a ton of time
if you need to know the details.
And we'll try to have all that content available for you. But I also think it's kind of unfair to expect us to have a 15-page document that could accurately express.
Well, there's no reason. I mean, we will. It probably won't be tomorrow, but if there's demand for something super technical, then we can definitely produce that. Yeah. Let's just close it with this. Just answer this. Let's as short of a summary as you can. His last and I think most pressing question is, just my 2 cents. It's actually, I guess it's kind of a suggestion. Just my 2 cents. Before I'd ever consider investing in your project, I'd want to know what it actually is you're manufacturing.
We're manufacturing a solar panel and everything else involved in distributing the energy that it makes to the point where it's used. So,
regardless of what medium we need to.
Well, regardless of what you're powering, that's why we call them modules. So for sanitation, there's a certain process that you have to put heat through. For distillation, there's a different process you have to put heat through. For producing electricity, there's a different process you have to put heat through. I
guess you should probably point out that one of the things is our operating temperature.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why that's a sort of a breakthrough is because most solar panels there's a lot of reasons, but for one thing, most solar panels are designed to run in a very specific temperature range, most specifically either extremely hot or very cool, which means that they're either optimized to just make heat for heating up pools or rooms or something, or just to be converted to electricity and nothing in between, and not either or, and in both cases they're quite expensive. The
difference between concentrated solar, so this is basically our options are right now, or primarily concentrated solar for electricity production in the form of using a farm to do it, or essentially dispersed light solar that is really only good for like water heating for like an apartment complex.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of technologies within both of those categories, but so going back to it, the solar panel and everything else that's involved in moving that heat around efficiently without losses, storing the heat, converting the heat, the whole system, the whole power system. That's why we always refer to it as a power system rather than just the solar panel. But solar panel is the core part of it, which on its own is a pretty big deal, set very far apart from everything else that's out there. That's what we make.
Perfect. Okay, we're good. Hold on. Before don't turn it off yet.
1 minute left.
Hold on. Okay, this is gonna take me 10 seconds. Okay, so anyway, I hope we answered all your questions in that addendum. If we didn't, and we're gonna post this, I'm gonna post this directly on the Reddit. Okay, you're gonna see it. We're gonna post it there, YouTube, Kickstarter, everywhere. It'll be everywhere. Please respond. If we didn't answer your questions, respond with more questions, and we'll answer those as well. We're gonna try and do these once a day. That might be ambitious.
We're gonna do it every day.
Okay. He says we're gonna do it every day. Yeah. He doesn't have to edit the video. But anyway, okay. So we will hopefully see you in a day after you see this.
Oh, and we're gonna have. If you don't like me, I'm not going to be here every time. We're going to switch me out.
I don't like him. So
there'll be fresh faces from Tenkiv each time.
All right, guys. Bye.